I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club. I make up a different jingle every time.
That was so pretty, and I'm going to tell you what I was going to open with was you are coming across some dumb witches in a very weird mood space.
Yeah.
And your song was so lovely.
Oh.
I feel like I'm already like, what was wrong with us a minute ago?
Oh, that's good. I healed you with the power
immediately.
Of music.
You did. Definitely.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. No, we've been in a mood. We've been having some issues. Very recently. So,
yeah.
But we're here. We're here for it.
Here for it.
Are we?
I don't know. Not really, but, what are you going to do?
But we're here.
We're here.
We think. We think we're here.
In some iteration, we are here. You're here with us.
We hope. We think.
That's also weird. I don't know.
Yeah. So what we need is a card pull to help us. Just to help us. Period.
I think you should pull,
okay.
frankly.
Okay, I'll do it.
I, just don't have the strength, to be honest.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, I'll do it. No, it's fine. It's totally fine.
You gotta know when you're in the right space and when you're not. You gotta know.
I don't know that I am in the right space.
You're not. I'm, kind of forcing
but you will. Okay.
Yeah, which is mean, and I probably shouldn't do that. But I also feel like you're stronger, and I feel like this is, we're coming into your season. We're ramping up to that. You're stronger. I'm suffering right now.
Okay, no, you're right. I will do, and look, we do this for each other in millions of ways all the time. We are both weak, but if I'm a little stronger, I'll do it. It's fine.
Exactly.
Okay. I feel like so much is riding on this. Oof. Okay. Oh my God, I'm terrified, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it. No.
No.
Nope. Don't want it. Pause.
Oh my God.
Pause.
Thank God.
Pause. Did you see the one I was touching and didn't pull?
Maybe.
Did you do that? That's so evil. Did you see what it is?
Maybe.
Oh God, what is it?
Which one were you going to pull, that one or that one?
I didn't know. I started to pull this one and I put it back.
No, that would have been fine. But you don't need to know. It would have been fine. It would be fine.
Okay, pause.
But this is good. This is what we actually needed.
We do need a pause. And, it matches our little centerpiece today.
It does. It's so cute.
I know. So the pause has, a comfy little, armchair. We need a pause.
Everybody just take a breath.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Okay.
What we're going to do next,
What are we going to do next?
We're going to get into our why though segment. Okay. Because clearly, as we have stated, we are struggling and we need a little bit of insight.
Yeah.
What do you have to help me? Because I have very little.
Okay. I don't have a lot. But okay. Well, I do have Venus is in retrograde again.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
She's in her retrograde.
Yeah, but that's okay. I feel like that's okay.
It is okay. It's good.
I feel like I like it too. I feel like it's very, what we've been talking about, hot witch summer.
Yes.
All of that. I think, when it's retrograding, just, I don't know. I think with this one, a lot of self-care.
Totally.
Right? Looking at those attachments you have, making sure that they're serving you.
Yeah, and I know, we have talked when she, officially stationed in retrograde.
Yeah.
Or, officially went in. So we'll have a little more, or we had a little more on that.
Yeah, we did.
But she's going to be there. She's going to be there in retrograde, and then she's going to be there still in Leo when she comes back direct. So, again, like you're saying, all of the retrograde things that we have advised and talked about so many times, but also keeping in mind when she's in Leo, she's a little passionate, she's a little dramatic, she's got still some flair. So just watch that. So it can flare up.
Yeah,
the flare can flare up.
The flare can flare up. That's valid.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a moon report.
I do. I have a moon report a lot.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of like the Pluto report, but it's the moon. It would be different. I wouldn't be yelling like that.
Way different.
Way different. Yes, I have a moon report. Everyone's going to be like, isn't it first quarter moon? Yes.
As a matter of fact, it is.
As a matter of fact, it is. And guess what? I don't care what you think about it because
we love it.
We love it. And it's a first quarter moon and it's in Scorpio. So deal with it.
Damn right.
Get deep because that's what you should do.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. You know what to do on the first quarter moon. I've talked about it enough.
You have. You've told them. You've told us.
Many times.
Okay.
Okay.
I love that Scorpio energy that you're bringing to it, though.
Thanks.
Go deep. Do it.
That's right. Do it. Or don't. I don't care. Whatever.
The thing that I want to highlight is on July 27th, Mercury moves into Virgo.
Oh, yeah.
So as I've talked about a little bit, you know, during Leo season or during Cancer season even, you know, we've talked about a million times, Venus, Mercury, Mars, you know, they tend to be around the same sign as the sun.
Yeah.
So when Mercury is in Leo, you know, she's glamorous, she's dramatic, she's talking up a storm, she's showing off, showing herself,
right.
You know. So I feel like Mercury moves into Virgo. Very, very different energy as all of the, you know, energies change. So what I think you're going to start to see here is a little more organization, a little more focus, a little less of the like, ooh, let's like party it up, and a little more of the like, let's get back to my to-do list. Let me figure out what's going on. So if you're feeling that shift, you know, that's going to be happening. Just be aware.
Yeah. And it very much has that vibe of like, this is what we're doing. And if like you're not on board, right? Very like you can't sit with us like vibe.
Yes.
So, and you could be the person, you could be the Regina George, or you could be the Gretchen Wieners. We don't know which one you are. It could be either side of that. But whichever side of that you are, like kind of just check yourself.
Or you could be the catty.
You could be the
Katie.
You could be the catty heron. You could, or you could be the Karen.
Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of things you could be. So
There's a lot of things.
yeah, no, but the Virgo and the Virgo energy being in Mercury, it's going to be a lot more thoughtful, a lot more methodical, a lot more focused. So anyway, just get ready for that. And that's, you know, neither good nor bad, or it's both good and bad.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
keep it in mind. What else we got? Anything else?
There's another retrograde. It's Chiron, which is really interesting.
We do not talk a lot about Chiron on this episode or on the show.
No, we don't. But I thought it was significant to point out because it's another retrograde that we're dealing with, and it's gonna ask you to do a lot of self-reflection and self-assessment too. So along with kind of that, you know, first quarter moon in Scorpio thing, it's a little bit like it might feel a little deep at times. It might get a little bit, you know,
a little disturbing.
Yeah. And we do have an episode on retrogrades.
Correct. And also, in the next episode, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about, there are several retrogrades happening at this time that have been happening. So I'm going to highlight that next time. So look forward to that.
Yes. So watch retrograde help first.
Yes. And then tune in next time for the new one when I do this other thing. So, yay.
We are so helpful.
We are so helpful.
It's amazing.
Whew. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but we love it.
We do.
Yes.
Good stuff.
We now have some big witch energy. Do we have some big witch energy?
We're mustering
Maybe that's a better
it.
question.
We're mustering it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it makes sense that we don't have it. Because what our big witch energy is for today is a what? The cusp. Cancer Leo.
Wow. What a cusp.
What a cusp. I feel like it's just a punch in the gut.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Oof.
Totally.
There's a lot of energy happening here. A lot of energy. Challenging energy.
Yep.
And I don't mean like the kind of energy that we talked about with Gemini and that Gemini Taurus, like bouncy energy.
No.
No, this is like a torrent of energy.
Yes.
And it's going this way and that way and this way and that way.
Yep. Yeah, it's dramatic.
It's dramatic.
It's a dramatic cusp period.
So when we're talking about the cusp periods,
That's right.
what we're talking about are the few days before and after the sun changes signs. Mm-hmm. And we are not talking about you are a combination literally on paper, or you get to pick what sign you are. No. We're talking about the transition of one energy to the next. And how during the transition, it's not a light switch, it's a dimmer switch, it's overlapping and intermingling during that time. And so those days would be roughly July 19th through about 24th, depending, as always. But so this is kind of the week of the year that we're talking about.
I love that. You're so much more like kind and friendly when you explain that, as opposed to me explaining it with my Scorpio energy of being like, we're not saying this, okay, so just stop it. This is what we're saying, and it's real. Yeah, you did it way more kindly. You may have to do that in the other the cusps, because apparently I freak out.
You don't scare people.
You sure?
Don't scare me.
I
love
that.
Yeah, so anyway, the Cancer Leo cusp is called the cusp of oscillation.
Yeah. It's an interesting word.
It's an interesting word, and I think it's a word that I think you only hear a lot when you're talking about like a fan. Like an oscillating fan, like the ones that go...
Yeah, they like...
You know, right? But what it really means is something that is moving and changing and shifting directions, right?
Yeah, like back and forth.
Yes, and sort of like, even with the fan, I guess literally like pulling in and directing out into different ways.
Oh, I never even thought about it like that.
I just thought of it right now.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what would you like to say first, besides what we've already said?
Okay, so when I was putting my notes together, the first word that I thought of, and the first word I think of and associate with this cusp period, and this is just me, like this is just what I think of, is protective.
Tell me why.
I think there's that combination of that Cancerian, like nurturing quality, right? That like parentification quality, along with that really fierce kind of Leo warmth, heart, loyalty. And I feel like that combination is like someone who is just protective of the people they love, the things they love, the ideas that they hold dear, whatever it is that's special to them. I just think of like that protectiveness.
Yeah, no, I think you're really right. And I think what you're already starting to talk about is what elements, what do we see combining here? That's always what we're talking about with cusps, is sort of the combining of very different elements and energies.
Right.
So what we have here, obviously, Cancer and Leo coming together. So we have Cancer being that water sign, that moon sign, and then we have Leo being a fire sign, and literally the sun.
Yeah.
And so what we have is like these two, what clearly are opposites, you know, day, night, you know, sun, moon. But I want to say they complement one another also more perfectly than any other combination, I would say.
Yes. It's fascinating how it's complementary in that way, but also like there's intensity to that.
Yes, and I think the way, because they're so equally complementary,
right.
They're equally intense.
Yes.
Which kind of results in that oscillation, that like being pulled really strongly in that moon emotion, nurturing energy, and then just as strongly being pulled in that like fierce identity fire direction.
And it's interesting that oscillation is used, because when you think about what is inherent in that movement, right? It's not a random movement.
Right. It's not chaotic.
It's not chaotic. It's not shifting. It's not like wind, right? It's there's a direction to it, there's a path to it, and it does the same thing. It's not just all of a sudden going some rogue direction. Like, it's doing the same thing. So that implies, you know, a balance between those two things. It doesn't spend too long in one and not in the other. It knows the exact right place to be with both of them.
I think that is such a great point. Because I think it can sound very chaotic.
It can.
But I think it's not.
No, not when you really think about the energy that's present.
I think another interesting thing is, so we always talk about the lifespan sort of analogy with the Zodiac. And when we get to this Cancer Leo cusp, we're right at about the age of 28 or 29 years old.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is that is the time period of Saturn return.
Oh, that's right.
So if we reach the ripe old age of 28 or 29 in our lives, every one of us will experience a Saturn return, and another 28 or 29 years after that, like when you're even that older age. Right. So, but what your Saturn return is telling you to do is to reevaluate and take stock in your life. And people who are not aware of any of this around that age often start to do this anyways. So we see like these energies are influencing people's lives, our lives, even before we're aware of them.
Oh, yeah.
But people, nowadays we call it a quarter life crisis sometimes, right? But it's this idea of like everything I've done, everything I've been, I was getting my start, I was out in the world, and what the hell have I been doing? Like all of this, or parts of this. They're not me, I can't do them, they're not right for me.
Totally.
All this kind of like upheaval can happen.
Absolutely.
But it's in the name of your growth and your destiny, essentially, I would say. But this is the time of life that's represented in this cusp.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think that really makes sense, because that time period, when people talk about it too, like when they're not using astrology to talk about it, and they're calling it a quarter life crisis, like crisis is in the term.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's this implication that it's like, this negative thing, and, you're having a crisis, and, you don't know who you are, and whatever it is that people, like, qualify that as. But it's not really that. I feel like it's more a discovery of, like, because when I think of, like, that cusp period and that transition, right? It's the Cancer night energy transitioning into the day.
Yes.
So it's like the things that were dark and shadowed and you hid them and maybe weren't completely comfortable with, or you weren't sure, you're stepping into now more of that day, Leo. This is actually me. This is actually what I want. This is what is fulfilling. And these are the things that I'm going to pursue from going forward.
I really just love that, because as much as in this specific cusp or in the other cusps as well, we talk about this kind of commingling of the energy. It really is only moving in one direction.
That's absolutely right. Yep.
That's amazing.
I know, it is amazing. Because whether or not, like you said, whether or not you recognize the astrology of it, or think about the quarter life crisis thing, or you recognize those things happening or whatever, like, it is happening, and it doesn't have to be this like dramatic life change. Like, it doesn't have to happen all of a sudden. It can be it can be building towards that, and it can continue on. I feel like a lot of people with this energy in this period, they don't realize it maybe at the time, but when they reflect back on it, they're like, oh, that was happening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's very often the case. I mean, how often or not often in our lives are we lucky enough to realize what's happening at the time it's happening?
God, we were just talking about how we didn't know what we were happening or if we were even here. We literally just said that.
I know. So, it's we relate.
We always do.
Yes, we always do. I know. I feel that's what's happening today.
Yeah.
That's what's happening today is this energy.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think what also makes it a lot and makes it really important and sometimes heavy is that, again, with the combination of that Cancer energy and that Leo energy, we have the Cancer being very reflective.
Yes.
But then we have the Leo being very active. And so it's like acting, but then also reflecting, and then acting, and then reflecting. There's just so much of that.
Yeah, and you can feel push-pulled by that. I could see how you would too, because even like we were talking about the energy, how it's balanced, but just because it is and it follows that same pattern doesn't mean that you're not gonna sometimes feel sort of pulled into the other one when you maybe weren't ready to be, or I don't know, but we're not always, like you mentioned a lot, like we're not always matching the energy that's going on. Sometimes we're opposing the energy that's going on. And when you are oscillating and then also sometimes trying to oppose it, that can probably feel pretty fraught at times.
Well, and I also feel like maybe, on paper it ends up balancing out, but I think there's periods where it's certainly not balanced out. And then it kind of can go the other way for a period. And, that could be rapid, which can look very chaotic, or it could be years and years before it switches over and then eventually, balances out.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because there is no speed to this, and it sometimes is faster and sometimes it's slower. And that's true. Like you never know exactly like how it's going to go. So,
but I do think like this cusp and the people born in this cusp their lives can be marked with a lot of hardship.
Totally.
And hard circumstances, and their ability to get through those gets worn thin in a lot of cases.
That's so true. It's honestly like it's the cuspiest of the cuspses.
I do agree. And so I will say I have a daughter who was born in this cusp period. And in fact, she was born on the day of the change. She's like 29 degrees and like 27 minutes of Cancer. Like she was like literally like 4 hours later, she would have been a Leo, And nothing else in her chart would have changed. All her other things would have been the same, including her rising and all of that. It is a challenging life.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a lot, but it's amazing too. Like it just really is such a dynamic combination of things. Like to be able to have that depth and that empathy. I know it's hard, and that's why it's hard, right? And I get that, but to be able to have that balanced with that like Leo like confidence and like self-assurance, it's a pretty cool combination. I mean, I feel like it's a combination that other people benefit from so much more than maybe they do themselves.
I agree. And I think especially as a human is less evolved at the beginning of life.
Yes.
When you're young.
Yeah.
And when you're growing and evolving, hopefully it is more, and I'm not saying this as a Leo, but like hopefully it is more in the direction of learning how you benefit yourself than how you benefit others.
Totally. And as I think as it looks like with the night going into the day, I feel like that is the trajectory, right?
Exactly. So, which is why I loved that you talked about that.
Yeah, I think it might be like helpful to think about that too. If you are in this cusp period, or you are close to people that are, or something like that, might be something helpful to think about, or maybe even like share with them that this is why it feels this way. But there are like better days ahead, and there are better things, that are coming for you.
Yeah. And I know, again, every cusp is dealing with the transition of opposing or different energies. But obviously fire and water, like they're so opposite, and fire puts out water. Well,
water puts out fire.
But both,
exactly.
If you get a set of fire, if there's wet patch on the ground, it's going to dry up.
Exactly.
And if you have a fire, if you dump water on it, it's going to go out. So, I mean, they both do that to each other.
Exactly.
They both extinguish each other.
Yeah.
So the challenge really is to coexist and really to allow the balance to happen and to allow the coexistence of these really opposing drives, basically.
And that's really delicate. This is super delicate.
I am not saying anyone should be able to know how to do that automatically. Like, I think it's really hard.
Yeah, it is. It's a very delicate balance, because the other combinations of elements are just, easier. They feed into each other or something. Yeah. So it's just maybe, keeping that under control is a thing. But with this being back and forth like that, and easy to be extreme on either way.
I know. And I also think, and I do, when I think about my daughter especially, I think, she also has a lot of other well, I was going to say, she has a lot of other Cancer influence in her chart, but she has other Leo influences in her chart too. So anyways, I'm not sure. But what I really see happening just, again, with her is that I feel like her Cancer self almost hides her Leo-ness. And she isn't always sure, like, how to bring that out.
Yeah.
So I think, and again, like to what you were saying, I hope that as life progresses, she sees more ways to do that, you know? And she has had a ton of ups and downs and things in her life already. I mean, and things like kind of out of her control. I mean, obviously we all lived through a pandemic that was out of all of our control, but beyond that, you know, and I know that, again, this cusp can be really fraught for people with circumstances and fluctuations and dramatic changes that aren't really about them, but they end up dealing with. So it's just very, very interesting.
It's true. I think that it's, you know, important for people in this cusp period and people who love people who are in this cusp period to just remember, like, it's important that the water sign that is involved in this cusp is Cancer and not any of the other water signs.
Correct.
Because there's a distinct nature to that. And I think that protective shell, that's part of this equation. And it's a really important part of this equation. And I think that it shouldn't be subjugated. I think it should really be celebrated. And that person should be allowed to, like, have that when they need it and come out of it when they need it, but be able to retreat into it when they need it, because they know how to use that. They know how. And they do need that. And I think, you know, that needs to be respected. And I think if they can cultivate that, it's a safe space for them to figure out, you know, what they need to do before they can kind of step out of that and, like, into that sun.
Absolutely. And, you know, just also to say, like, there's other points where water and fire meet up in the zodiac. But they're very, very different flavors. And it's because of that life cycle thing. This is, like, the first time that this is happening. And it's also, like, we're in, you know, in the Western Hemisphere, like, in the dead of summer, in the, you know, Northern Hemisphere too. We're in the dead of summer. It's hot. Like, it's intense. Like, this is the energy, right? So, you know, I don't know. I wanted to name, there's a trio of famous people born in this cusp.
A trio.
And they all, in my mind, really represent everything of what we've been saying.
Okay.
And they have similarities. And, okay, so I'm just going to read them out.
Okay.
And these are, I don't know, I'll explain who they are in case they're not as well known to people, but I think some of them are. Anyways, Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Robin Williams. Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I feel like the third one is the one that maybe not everyone knows as much, but they should. He was an actor. A fantastic actor. You probably do know who he is. But he died in 2014. So did Robin Williams. Died tragic deaths, much too young. Played both, I'm talking about both of these actors now, nuanced, tormented characters in a lot of their art, in their acting, which I think the characters that you portray as an actor reflect yourself as well, no matter how wonderful of an actor you are, which they both were. And then Ernest Hemingway, who, you know, also tragically killed himself and lived a very extreme life, full of adventure and self-hatred and genius and loathing. And anyways, so these are three people that came up and I think really demonstrate what this energy can be like. And I don't want to say that these people are unevolved examples of it. Like, oh, they succumbed to all of this and they didn't evolve.
No.
I don't think that's true at all.
No, I don't either. I wouldn't reduce it down to that at all.
No, not at all. And I think, of course, there's tons of people born in this cusp period. There's lots of authors. There's lots and lots of famous people, actually. And they don't all have these tragic, you know, elements.
No, certainly not.
But anyway, these were the ones that I just felt like really kind of showed, like, the heaviness of it.
Yeah, that's very intense. And, the Robin Williams one is hard, and Philip Seymour Hoffman as well.
Yes.
But, for sure, Robin Williams, it's like, there's just, like, no real, like, words to really explain even like who he was when he was alive, and just like the loss of somebody like that. Like there's just like really like not much you can say.
No, definitely. And so without wanting to end on like that sad of a note, I just wanted to mention one other person.
Oh, good.
Which, you know, is Selena Gomez.
Oh, I love
We
her.
love her.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Okay, remember what you were going to say.
I will.
Who else but a Cancer Leo cusp that is everything else that she is, of course, but like who else but that could hold her own and carry herself with the legends of comedy and screen and stage and everything that are Martin Short and Steve Martin? Like, who else?
Yeah, no. Well, and not even to mention, like, you know, Justin Bieber and et cetera, and all of that, which she was always rising above and maintained herself, and she knows who she is, and she moves in that direction, and she walks in the world like a badass.
She really does.
She's emotional, and she's sweet, and she's nurturing, and she's kind.
Yes.
And she's a badass.
She is a badass, and she's open about how she had to come to these things and how she still learns. She's young, you know. She's still learning all these things. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, love her. Anyway, that's another take on it, but it's all valid. Great. They're all valid.
Yeah, everyone is valid, and this is a very valid cusp period, and if you're in it, we love you and care about you, and you're probably like the super amazing person. Also, you're watching this, so of course you are.
Of course you are. Yay, Cancer Leo cusp. We love you.
We love you.
Anybody ready?
Are we ready?
For Spell of the Week?
I'm ready.
Spell of the Week. Now I'm singing songs.
Lay it on me.
Okay, this is like, I know we say this every time. This is literally the simplest spell in the history of witchhood, okay?
Wow. I'm ready to take notes. I've got my
You don't even need to take a note. No, you could if you wanted to. This spell is called De-Stress Yourself Witch.
I need it.
Okay? This is all that you do. You get home. This is what I'm imagining. After like just a BS day, right?
Okay, BS day, got it.
And you're irritated and you're mad and you're hating everyone and everything, probably for very good reasons, okay? All you do, you get home, you're feeling this, and you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to do spell. So you get out your favorite candle.
Love it.
And you go in a dark room. It could be the bathroom, it could be your kitchen, it could be anywhere, but you need to be alone and it needs to be dark.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're going to light your candle and you're going to breathe. And you're not going to breathe deeply or breathe in a certain... You're just going to breathe.
Okay.
And you're going to watch the candle start to melt. And this takes a couple of minutes, depending on the temperature outside. Out here, it would take 3 seconds because it's hot. As it melts, you are going to say, may this candle melt my stress away.
Oh, I love this.
And then you're going to gaze at it. And you're going to repeat until you can find yourself taking a full inhale and a full exhale, naturally.
Beautiful.
And then you inhale, you blow out your candle, and you leave your stress there.
Simple. It's perfect.
Ta-da! Spell of the week.
We're melting anyway.
Yes.
So might as well just capture that. I love it. I feel like this is something, it's a spell of the week, but I feel like it's a spell that you could do every week. I mean, you could do it every day.
You could. I mean, I hope that you wouldn't need to.
Yeah.
But
about that.
This world. No, you absolutely could. And that is magic, people.
That is magic. It's magical, and thank you for blessing us with that. And I have it written down. I did. I took notes.
Amazing. It's because you are magical. Don't forget.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, how do we feel now?
I actually feel better.
Yeah, I kind of feel better too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that wraps it up. So until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner.
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Creative Director and Culture Consultant Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dope.